Hey guys, what's happening? So this is the first podcast of my series, and I'm so excited to be doing this. I've been talking about it for a very long time, and by the way, I'm Jivit. So I'm really excited. But to get started, I want to introduce you to somebody who's a close friend of mine. We've worked together on a small acting thing, but more importantly, he's a close friend. Welcome, Bharat. Thank you so much for coming, buddy.
Hey guys, namaste. What's up? How's it going? I'm really glad to be at Jiviijiv's first podcast, and we're just going to talk about life today. We have no topic in particular that we're going to talk about, and yeah, this is the first episode, and we plan to call it "Bunch of Nobodies" because both of us are nobodies, as you might know, because we have to introduce ourselves. And yeah, I'm really excited to be on the first podcast of Jiviijiv. So yeah, man. Then what can we talk about?
Um, Thanks for coming, by the way.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Yeah, just so you know, the main aim of this podcast is really to inspire people, to encourage people, to really talk about pretty much either things that we've been through that we don't want to talk about, or bringing things into light, inspiring, encouraging people with anything really.
Yeah.
So to get started, I want to understand more about your life, and of course you have a brother. So tell me more about that.
I mean, yeah, like all of us have siblings, but yeah, I'm just I'm 20-year-old. I'm a film student, and I happen to pursue stand-up comedy as well parallelly. And I've been working for this organization for about 2 years now, and we curate open mics and other events. So I've been even hosting and all those other things. I'm very in a very raw stage of my life where I'm just learning things and just experiencing them as they come. And yeah, Jiviijiv has been a comrade in terms of so both of us are practitioners of this practice and called digital Buddhism, and a lot of celebrities like Ayushmann Khurrana and his wife and everybody are a part of that, and both of us happen to be he happens to be practicing that for I think over 10-15 years now.
Right.
And I'm fairly new. I've done it for like 1/4 the time that he has done it. I've done it for like 2 years or something. And yeah, we've got to know each other, we've got to know about life via that practice, and we've had long discussions like these prior to this, and that's what really generated and initiated us to do this podcast for the first time, where we spoke about like the stuff that we actually end up talking about a little bit could really be used and channelized via the medium of a podcast. So I'm really glad that we are there. And now it's too much of like just self-indulgent. Like I'm really glad, really excited. So yeah, man. Like you tell me, what is life been like for you? What is life like from like the first 10 years of your life and the next 10 years and the other half? How's that been for you? Like how's things been?
So I grew up pretty much in Pune all my life.
Yeah, same.
And life has been great. Life has been amazing. In fact, so there's been a lot of change that has come about.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is that life teaches you so much. So it's just given me a lot more to think about and to reflect, and of course you learn from each thing that you kind of go through.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely amazing. But like you mentioned, as you keep going with it, there's so much that you understand through the process.
Correct.
And so I feel like it's so important to enjoy the process rather than, kind of
Chasing the end goal and
Because so often people think of it as like the end goal. Like as if when you get there, then that is it, right? But actually,
I think that's where the journey begins also for a lot of people, where they really are clueless of what to do, because I think the whole system of how we are chasing goals is completely very herd mentality oriented, as in we ourselves are doing like how Casey Neistat, somebody I really look up to, he said that he was pursuing filmmaking, and initially when he was pursuing filmmaking, he did all of those things that he wanted to do. He wanted to go to Cannes Film Festival, he wanted to make certain kind of movies, he wanted to be on a crew. He did all of that, but he was really not content with himself inside, and he felt that he's doing a version of what an ideal filmmaker's graph would be, and he was really not pleased with it. And that's the case with most of the people, where the external goals are so right in front of us, and we are just trying to emulate everything and just trying to put ourselves in other people's shoes and really not asking ourselves that is this something we really want? Because we are too consumed by the eyeballs that we're grabbing, and we really are not focused on where to really take ourselves in order to be in a happier space in life. So yeah.
How's the comedy thing going?
Man, comedy is tough, man. Like I'm just pretty new to it. Like in terms of like even how my seniors in this whole industry, the people who've been doing this for 10 years, who've been one of the pioneers, they'll also say that we are fairly new in terms of comedy in our country. Like if you take the West for example, if you take US for example, they've been doing comedy for over 60, 70, 80 years, I don't know. And they have the whole culture out there. It's mainstream out there. Here it's sort of a parallel industry which is just taking up, and it's really grown, immensely it's grown. Like the fact that I am employed through one of its mediums speaks for the fact that it sort of has some stability to it, I guess, I don't know. And things are taking up, and I was listening to an interview of Rohan Joshi from AIB, one of the co-founders of AIB, and he was talking that earlier there were only the 10 of them, and now there are 10,000 of them, and there's really a lot of competition. Because the people, and he was talking about the fact like how he himself has initiated that, but his own initiation has acted as a irrelevance, sort of a force of irrelevance to himself, where he's inspired people to do something and he's inspired people to get into this whole line, and now he himself is scared about the fact that whether I'll have a career or not. So there's a lot of competition, healthy competition. I think comedians are the whole community of comedians. Like how even Jerry Seinfeld says that really like funny people really like funny people. Not that I think I'm funny, I'm pretty average. And so I don't get along with that. So, but so I mean, in terms of, I think comedians really look out for each other because they've had similar experiences in life. Yeah. And they always have that. And I think comedy is something which really, in your initial years for sure, keeps you grounded, because even the best comedian in this world will go to an open mic. Open mics are basically like net practice for any comedian, where they have to ensure that they test their jokes and ensure that people are laughing at it, workshop their material for years. And a YouTube video that you might see of any comedian from India or abroad, you might see 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes must have taken a year or two or even more. Yeah. So of workshopping and just continuously performing it on road or performing it at open mics. So yeah, I mean, you just get to know about the processes of this whole art form once you jump into it. Like there's a lot of clout in terms of like what comedy is, like making a few friends of yours laughing at you and strangers laughing at you, because comedy essentially how Louis C.K. says, I'm quoting a lot of people, how Louis C.K. says is that it's an art form of making strangers laugh, not the people who really care for you. So that's where the challenge lies.
Wow. Making strangers laugh.
Making strangers laugh, absolutely. Where you really don't know those people and they don't really know you, and the only thing that is tying the room together is the fact that they are here to watch you and you are here to perform. And you have to keep them engaged, and they have to act as an encouraging tool to you. So that's exactly how I see comedy. As I'm figuring stuff out, I'm pretty new.
It's like what Trevor Noah said. Yeah. One of his performances, of course, which I've just seen online, where he says that, and right at the start, he says that it's more like a sex act.
Yeah.
If my performance determines how loud you the loud noises that you make, and in turn that makes me feel like I want to do more.
Yeah, speaking of like sex acts, like I happen to even pursue filmmaking. So like the first day that I went to my film institute for a short-term course in writing and direction, our sir said that filmmaking and intercourse are very similar, where you can't really theorize the whole aspect of it. Like you can read books on like sex and you can read books on like everything, but the whole thing is to practically do it. So like if you're not practically doing it, there's no point of it. So I think these things are really, like the fact that we are doing this podcast today, where we are not in the best production, in terms of production quality, we are not at the peak, but we're still doing it, and I hope the people who lasted till now and continue to watch this, and like 100 of Jiviijiv people and like 2 people from my side. So overall we got 102 views. But yeah, and so I mean, the fact that you guys are watching this, we just want to, I think I really appreciate how Jiviijiv has looked at this, that he doesn't really want to be a perfectionist, but just start doing it, and eventually just, when things gradually take up, and I'm 100% sure Jiviijiv is a really intellectual person, and things will really
let's not talk so much about.
Yeah, man, I want you to podcast a guest man next time around. So I need to butter you. Yeah.
But who's the comedian you look up to, and you know you kind of keep going back to if at all you feel like you want to just laugh or you want to get some new twist to some material that you're putting out?
Actually, quite a few. Man. Like even if you ask me who's my favorite filmmaker, there are a lot. Like everybody has their own voice. You really can't pick one person. But I mean, there are few people that I really look up to. Like there's Kanan Gill from India, who might really resonate with. I really feel that he's quite an international of a comedian.
Where's he from?
He's from Bangalore. He's done pretentious movie reviews with Viswa Kalyanarath. Both of them shot to fame on YouTube from that. They had been doing stand-up previously. And I really like Vedas because I think Vedas has really taken what comedy in India is to the world.
Yeah.
He's selling out shows everywhere and he's really bringing the Indian perspective and not doing a caricature of Indian perspective. And he's really bringing out his own voice and people are appreciating that. He's gone on one of my idol, Conan O'Brien's TV shows. And Conan O'Brien is also somebody I look up to. He's not a traditional stand-up comedian, but he's a really funny person. And he's also doing a form of comedy. And I generally look up to the people who are instinctively funny, like who are funny all the time. So, be it Conan O'Brien or be it Chris D'Elia, there's this amazing comedian from US, his name is Chris D'Elia. He does this amazing podcast called Congratulations. And he's had a few Netflix specials, he's had a few acting gigs as well, and he's really good. I think that he's, and like in stand-up also there are many aspects, there are a lot of genres, sub-genres to comedy. So, there's this aspect called crowd work where you basically just talk to the crowd and try to have an interaction and you know just hope that jokes come from that. So that's something that he does really well. And yeah, man, I'm at that stage of my life where I can look up to everybody and have no particular idol because I don't think I'm at that stage where I can just cherry pick people. I look up to everybody and yeah. So yeah, those are the people I really.
What kind of humor do you feel?
And also, I know that this might be controversial, but I really look up to Mr. Louis C.K. Irrespective of whatever's happened with him, I think that he's one of my comedic influences in terms of how he builds his acts. I am not too much in support of what's happened with him in his personal ties, but I think he's one of the best comedians that has ever graced the stage because he's insanely funny and how he can bring his own perspective to things is just mind-blowing. And apart from that, Mr. Jerry Seinfeld, whom I feel is a scientist of comedy. Like he's the most cleanest comedian. He's the most accomplished in terms of the things that he's achieved in his life. And yeah, I'm sorry, coming back to your question. Yeah.
That was amazing. Seinfeld always was something that I kind of grew up with.
Yeah.
You had those shows that you grew up with. One was for me that 70s show. Mm-hmm. Friends, of course.
Yeah. The Office. You watched The Office?
The Office, yeah. But not as much. I haven't.
I'm a big The Office fan. Yeah. Nobody says The Office fan. Like they say Office fan. Like nobody says I'm the Office fan. But yeah, and nobody says like I'm F.I.R.I.E.N.B.S. It's so taxing. Like nobody says. They say Friends. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But those shows were like while growing up, that 70s show. And that was hilarious, man. Like, me and my close friend, we would actually watch episodes after episodes. And it was really amazing. But what is the kind of humor that you feel is your genre? Like, what is it that gets you going? Like, what kind of humor? For me, or at least something that I find funny, or like me and my brother Rosh, we keep we do. Or at least while growing up, it was a lot of repetitive humor when you kind of do one thing and it's funny because of the response you get, and then you hit back at that same joke again in a few seconds or a few minutes.
That's called callback. Yeah.
So that was something that always kept us going back to the same thing, and we knew because we laughed the first time, we were going to laugh, and then we would just do different variations. Do variations of that and keep going back at it. Give a different twist to it. But again, that's when there are lesser people. But with audience, I'm guessing that it works differently.
I mean, it does definitely work with audience as well. But that's one of the tools of comedy, as in callback humor or Like if you structure jokes like you have premise and then you have a setup to a joke and then you have the punchline and then the tags to a joke. So that's like the basic structure of how jokes work. And then like your first 5 minutes and like all those other things. But I mean, yeah, that's also an aspect to comedy as we may look at. But I think what kind of humor I like is where you can just circle around like really dark issues, and you are so well equipped to just go in all those spaces, but really not offend people. And people also on the edge of getting offended to you, or people who have sentimental connections to those particular things that you're talking about, will also really laugh at you because they're seeing the humor in it via your perspective. And that's what is really important, which is perspective. Everybody has their own voice, everybody's led different lives. They might have comedic styles or comedic influences, but they really have led their own separate lives. And if you really bring your authentic self on stage, which I'm struggling with, I mean, trying to, because you really start pandering. I think I'm very early to have an opinion on comedy or be sitting on a throne to really talk, because I think it really takes a lot of time to understand all those things. So yeah, I mean,
we're all work in progress, so it's fine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I've seen a lot of people in Pune's comedy scene and all across India who really do that well, where they bring their own perspective, and I think that is what sets them apart. Like there's Vishwa Kalyanarath, who has a really own good perspective. There's Zakir Khan. All these people are really bringing their whole lives that they've led onto stage and structuring them in such a magnificent way where you're just watching them and in awe of the kind of lives they've led. And yeah, like people who just bring narratives and perspectives, those are the comedians I really look up to, because I don't know what they're going to talk about. And yeah, you get to know about, and like how Jerry Seinfeld also says that, I don't know if Jerry Seinfeld says that, but I think the best kind of comedy is when you get to know the person that you watch on stage for this time. So yeah, that is a kind of comedy.
I feel like many people the way of doing it in a way is putting your own life with like a twist, or trying to make people understand your life.
Yeah.
And then of course you do also go into dark issues.
Go in dark spaces, and I think I absolutely forgot the legend who does this so well. Like Dave Chappelle, who's like who's the greatest, and he's the most amazing comedian alive right now, and he's right in front of our eyes, and we can watch him. Somebody you're going to give examples of 30-40 years later saying that he was one of the greats. He is one of the greats, and he does that so well. I think even Louis C.K. does that so well. And there's Chris Rock who does that so well. There's a lot of comedians. Kevin Hart also. I think I've not really watched too much of Kevin Hart's comedy, but I'm sure that he does that really well. And he's also somebody I really look up to because of his work ethic. He's doing so many things and he's just able to balance himself. He's acting, he's so fit, he has a family life, he's pursuing a comedy career, he's selling out stadiums, he's selling out 50,000-60,000 occupancy stadiums and doing it so well. And yeah, it's somebody I really look up to as well. So yeah, man, it's only to learn.
Amazing. I feel like you're a big Dave Chappelle fan.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I really look up to him because I think that he makes it look too easy. I don't think that. I think the work they want to work. He's worked all his life. I think he's been in comedy for I don't know, like around 30 years or something. He's been doing it since he was like 13 or 14, as far as I am aware. And he's 45 or I think in the 45-50 range. And he's now what you see is just like somebody who's just really conquered the art and is just doing it now. And like every special of his, like all of his five, I've not watched other of his stuff, like the previous specials which are there on HBO, but I watched the specials which are there on Netflix, the 5 of them, and they are just gold, man. Like there's so much to learn. You can just keep watching them, and there's so much you can just extract out of them. And he's really not afraid. What I really like about him is that he's completely unabashed. He doesn't really care about the repercussions, and he's off the radar. He's not on social media, and he's still selling out the most amount of tickets, which is something that a lot of comedians are insecure about. And fairly so, because Dave Chappelle is a household name and not everybody can be Dave Chappelle. But yeah, man, so yeah, I really idolize him. Yeah.
I feel like that's a great point then.
And also Bill Burr. Bill Burr does that incredibly. Bill Burr also does that incredibly well.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill Burr is just incredible. Like, I think Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, these are international comedians that I really look up to. And yeah.
I feel like a great part of being a comedian is not really giving a shit. You know,
yeah.
Simply said.
But I mean, in the times we live, it really, like,
it can
have a lot of repercussions. So, yeah.
It can. But that's the thing, right? To be a comedian, you've got to, I feel, well, you would know better, but
No.
yeah, like you said, be unabashed about like, the kind of material that you put out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times it's like, you feel like you're going to be judged for what you say.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not a comedian per se, even if you're doing whatever else you're doing, there is an element of feeling that you're being judged.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's India or if it's the world at large, but there is a certain element of either we judging people, which is why it comes back to us, or there is just an element of, oh, if I say this, am I going to be
scrutinized, or like I might
for it? Exactly.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, that happened with Kevin Hart as well. Like, he was about to host the Oscars, and they went back. Like, the Twitter RT went back and like tried to pull out some stuff out of his 10-year-old stand-up routine and said that he probably had some issue regarding some political fraternity of the society, and they tried to stop him from posting that. I mean, that's wrong actually, because I feel that people evolve, like how even Kevin Hart put it, people evolve. Like what your opinions were, they might have been a part of his act. He might really not be somebody who's an ambassador to that school of thought. But I mean, you really can't just keep nitpicking people when you yourself are flawed in your own life. There's a lot of moral high ground which is there in the society, and that, I mean, it's a really large.
If you can sleep well at night, knowing that your intentions were sort of clean, then I think then everyone's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the end of it,
absolutely,
it's also about the audience, right? In fact, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So if they're good, you're good. If they're not, you're not. So addressing them at critical times. But wow, that was huge insight, man.
No, man.
On comedy.
Not at all.
Any experiences that you want to share per se about comedy, direction, filming, anything?
Man, I mean, I'm just experiencing them, and I just hope that God is kind, that so that I can do it in a decent way. But I mean, I've been like experiences as in like what kind of experience you want to do? Like good experiences, bad experiences?
Either.
Man, I mean, I'm very objective of my work, so I don't really jump too high in terms of how whatever little I've done. But yeah, man, like I had this one event where I performed a joke. I performed something, and I got a message from somebody, okay, and nobody knows about this. So I got a message from
right then or much later?
No, I think 2 or 3 hours prior to that, and he's like, "Thank you for wasting my money. You don't deserve to do comedy." And he's like, "Yeah, thanks." That really grounded me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, nobody will come to my shows after watching this. But yeah, but no, I'm decent. Okay, I'm decent. But yeah.
You just gotta laugh it off and keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, man, and absolutely.
Or anything else, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though I cried for it after that, but yeah, let's not go into the dark parts. Yeah, so yeah, that is there. Yeah, I mean, I think my initial attempts to comedy were also very humbling. Like the first time I went on stage was at an open mic, but it was a curated open mic where the lineup is decided. So it's not everybody who can go and perform. So I went for that. Somehow I tricked them into like letting me on stage, and I sucked completely. And I was really checking out whether I should pursue this career at all, because everybody around me, I'd gone with a friend and he did extremely well. And everybody was like, it's really clear, like, doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, you should not do comedy. So I was like, but I don't know, I mean, there was this, within myself, there was this innate thing that I really want to do it, like, irrespective of like, it was like, once I've done it, now I want to continue doing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that is. I mean, you just have to keep putting yourself out there, and you really can't judge yourself for the first time of doing anything.
Yeah.
Like a murder or something. No, I'm not dying.
Wow.
Yeah.
We take that as a joke.
We are very law-abiding citizens. My favorite movie is Law-Abiding Citizens. So yeah, man. So.
But wow, I think we're gonna close on this awesome note.
Not an awesome note.
That you gotta just keep going, man,
Yeah.
and not really think so much about what is going to be said about whatever one's doing.
I mean, you should not be delusional from other people's opinions also, but you really should know what to filter and what to not. I mean, what to keep and what to not keep, and look up to the people who you really care about the opinion and understand where they're coming from. Because a lot of people have vendetta. A lot of people are just saying it for the sake of it. People are joking with you, and you probably might take it seriously. Just be aware of all those things, and don't. I mean, if you really feel like you want to do it. I don't care about other people. I mean, eventually you can make a decision if you embarrass yourself enough. But it's I mean, yeah, but still keep continuing embarrassing yourself because you never know what really might be your calling. So yeah.
I love that. Keep embarrassing yourself and stay tuned. We're going to keep going
in an ethical way. Embarrass yourself
with more podcasts and this is the first, so stay tuned and of course
stay tuned. Subscribe
if you want and there's awesome material that's going to keep rolling your way. So thanks so much again.
Thank you so much guys. You guys are the best. So I hope it didn't stop recording.